Jake stepped off the transport shuttle and onto the main deck of Valor Prime Station. The 17-year-old human carried a single bag over his shoulder and looked around at the massive space station that would be his home for the next year. Beings from dozens of different species walked past him. Some had 4 arms, others had scales or fur. A few floated through the air without touching the ground. He had never seen so many aliens in one place before. Back on Earth, humans were just beginning to meet their galactic neighbors. The Galactic Union had only contacted Earth 2 years ago. Now Jake stood in the heart of their civilization, thousands of light years from home. His father, Lieutenant Commander Peter, walked beside him. The older man wore his Earth Defense Force uniform with pride. He had been assigned to the diplomatic outpost near Valor Prime 6 months ago. When Jake finished his final year of schooling on Earth, his father suggested he apply to the Galactic Combat Academy. It was a chance few humans would ever get. "You ready for this?" his father asked. Jake nodded. "Coach Hayes prepared me well." His father smiled at the mention of Jake's instructor back on Earth. Lisa Hayes was a former Marine who ran the youth combat program in their district. She had trained Jake since he was 12 years old. When she heard he would attend the academy, she doubled his training schedule. "Remember what she told you," his father said. "Don't show off, just do your best." They reached the academy entrance. The doors were tall enough for beings twice Jake's height. Inside, the training facility stretched out like a small city. Combat arenas, equipment rooms, and meditation chambers lined the corridors. Students in training uniforms moved between classes. A tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms waited near the entrance. He wore the black uniform of an instructor. His eyes were large and golden, and when he looked at Jake, there was no warmth in them. "You are the human," the instructor said. His voice was deep and cold. "I am Master. I run the Advanced Martial Arts program." Jake extended his hand. "Yes, sir, Jake, I'm honored to train under you." Master looked at Jake's hand but did not take it. "Humans do not belong in the advanced program. You will start in the beginner class." "Sir, I passed the entrance requirements," Jake said carefully. "Requirements made for civilized worlds," replied. "Your Earth is barely known to us. We have no data on human combat abilities. Until I see proof, you train with the beginners." Jake's father stepped forward. The acceptance letter clearly stated. "I know what it stated," interrupted, "but I run this program. The human will prove himself first." Before Jake could respond, Master turned and walked away. Jake's father put a hand on his shoulder. "This is what Hayes warned you about," his father said quietly. "They don't know what humans can do yet. You'll have to show them." Jake nodded. His coach's words came back to him. "The galaxy sees Earth as a paradise world. They don't know the truth. Use that." The next morning, Jake arrived at his first class. The training hall was enormous. Padded floors stretched across an area the size of a football field. Holographic projectors hung from the ceiling. Combat dummies lined the walls. About 30 students were already there, warming up. Jake walked to an empty space and began his stretches. Within seconds, he felt eyes on him. The other students stopped their exercises and stared. Some whispered to each other. A few pointed. A thin alien with silver skin and quick movements approached Jake. He had sharp features and moved with the grace of a dancer. His eyes were bright yellow and full of mockery. "Well, well," the alien said loudly. "A human. I heard they let one of you in." Jake stood up slowly. "I'm Jake. Nice to meet you." The alien said. He crossed his arms. We're known across the galaxy as the finest warriors, fast, precise, deadly." He looked Jake up and down. "What is Earth known for?" Several other students gathered around them now. Jake could feel their curiosity and contempt. "Earth is a nice place," Jake said simply. "We do our best." Laughed. It was a sharp, unpleasant sound. "A nice place, how sweet. Let me guess, your world is one of those soft paradise planets. Gentle weather, tame animals, easy living." "Something like that," Jake replied. He kept his voice calm. "No wonder you look so weak," another student called out. This one was massive, easily 7 feet tall with gray rocky skin. "I'm from our world has real gravity, real challenges. Your bones probably break if you fall down." The students laughed. Jake said nothing. He had heard worse during training back home. Coach Hayes had prepared him for this too. Master entered the hall. The students immediately went silent and lined up. Jake found a spot at the end of the line. The instructor walked along the row, examining each student. When he reached Jake, he stopped. "This is our human student," announced to the class. "He believes he belongs in the advanced program." The way he said it made it clear what he thought. As tradition demands, he will take the entrance trial. His eyes lit up, the gauntlet of forms. Yes, said, if he passes with adequate time, he stays in this class. If not, he moves to beginners where he belongs. The students murmured excitedly. Jake had read about the gauntlet. It was a series of holographic combat scenarios. Students had to defeat 5 opponents using proper techniques. Speed and precision both mattered. Most students took between 45 and 90 seconds. Anyone slower than 2 minutes went to the beginner classes. I completed it in 52 seconds, said proudly. Current class record is 47 seconds held by. He pointed to a smaller alien with green skin and large eyes. She nodded politely. The Galactic Academy record is 31 seconds, added, set 15 years ago by a legendary warrior. He looked at Jake. What do you think your time will be, human? Jake met his gaze. I'll do my best, sir. Your best, scoffed. I give you 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes if you're lucky. He won't last 60 seconds, the large student said. Humans have no real combat experience. Their world is too soft. Jake wanted to tell them the truth, that Earth's gravity was almost twice what they trained in, that human bones were dense as steel compared to theirs, that he had fought in conditions that would kill most of them in hours, but Coach Hayes' words stopped him. Let them underestimate you, then show them what we really are. Master walked to the control panel. The holographic system hummed to life. Take your position in the center circle, human. Jake walked to the designated spot. The other students formed a ring around him, eager to watch him fail, stood in front, arms crossed and smiling. The first hologram materialized 10 feet away. It looked humanoid but was clearly designed to fight. Its stance was perfect. Its eyes tracked Jake's every movement. Begin when ready, Master said. Jake took a breath. He thought of his home, of Earth's heavy gravity that had made him strong, of the predators that had made humans fast, of the harsh weather that had made them tough. He thought of every early morning run, every combat drill, every time Coach Hayes had pushed him past what he thought possible. Ready, Jake said. The timer started, the hologram attacked, the hologram moved fast. Its fist came at Jake's face with speed that would have impressed him a year ago. Now, after training on Earth under full gravity, it seemed slow, almost lazy. Jake shifted his weight, his body moved with ease in the station's lighter gravity. What felt normal to him was enhanced here. He slipped past the hologram's punch and drove his palm into its chest. The impact registered immediately. The hologram flickered and disappeared. The timer read 2.1 seconds. The students gasped. Master's eyes widened slightly. His confident smile faded. Lucky hit, someone muttered. Jake didn't respond. He was already focused on the next challenge. 2 holograms materialized this time, one on each side of him. This was unusual. The system normally introduced opponents one at a time for the first 3 levels, but the Academy's computer had analyzed his first strike. It recognized the force and speed. It adjusted. The 2 holograms attacked together. One came high, one came low. It was a classic pincer move designed to overwhelm students who couldn't track multiple threats. Jake's human eyes processed both movements instantly. His binocular vision evolved to spot predators in Earth's forests and plains, locked onto both targets. He dropped under the high attack and kicked out at the low one. His foot connected with satisfying force. Before that hologram could fall, Jake spun and delivered an elbow to the second opponent's core. Both holograms flickered out. The timer read 5.8 seconds. The training hall went completely silent. Students stared with open mouths. Even Master leaned forward, his forearms tensing. Jake breathed easily. His heart rate was barely elevated. Coach Hayes had made him run 10 miles every morning in Earth's crushing gravity while wearing a weighted vest. This felt like nothing. His lungs, adapted to Earth's thick atmosphere, pulled in the station's air with no effort. He had oxygen to spare. The third hologram appeared. This one was different. It moved with the fluidity of a master martial artist. The Academy system had stopped going easy. It recognized that Jake needed a real challenge. The hologram attacked with a complex combination. Strike, feint, sweep, strike again. It was beautiful and deadly, the kind of sequence that took students weeks to defend against. Jake's pattern recognition kicked in. Humans had evolved as persistence hunters on Earth. They tracked prey for hours, reading signs and predicting movements. That same ability let Jake see the hologram's pattern instantly. He knew where each strike would land before it launched. He blocked the first strike with his forearm. The impact would have hurt the alien students with their lighter bone structure. Jake's dense earth-grown bones absorbed it easily. He stepped inside the hologram's reach, negating the sweep, and struck 3 times in rapid succession. Throat, solar plexus, knee. The hologram dissolved. The timer read 8.2 seconds. "This is not possible," whispered. His yellow eyes were huge. The green-skinned who held the class record moved closer to the ring. Her analytical mind was racing. She pulled out a small device and began accessing data files. The fourth hologram materialized. This one was larger and stronger. It represented the kind of opponent that relied on power over speed. The Academy system was testing Jake's ability to handle different fighting styles. Jake didn't wait for it to attack. He moved first. His legs, built to carry him through Earth's high gravity, propelled him forward with explosive force. The station's lighter gravity made him feel like he could fly. He closed the distance before the hologram could set its stance. The combination he used was something Coach Hayes had drilled into him 10,000 times. It was designed for larger opponents. Use their size against them. Get close. Stay close. Don't let them use their reach. Jake struck the hologram's knee, forcing it to drop. As it fell, he delivered a precise strike to its neck junction. The hologram flickered and died. The timer read 10.9 seconds. Master was standing now. His 4 arms hung at his sides in shock. In his 30 years of teaching, he had never seen anything like this. The fifth and final hologram appeared. This was the master-level opponent. It was designed to fight with the skill of a galactic champion. The system used this hologram to separate good students from exceptional ones. Most students who reached this level took 15 to 20 seconds to defeat it. Many failed entirely on their first attempt. The hologram analyzed Jake for a moment. Its sensors registered his heart rate, breathing, muscle tension. It found none of the fatigue markers it expected. Jake was as fresh as when he started. They engaged. The hologram used techniques from 17 different martial arts styles. It shifted between them seamlessly, never letting Jake predict the next move. It was faster than the previous opponents, stronger, more intelligent. Jake mastered it. Every technique the hologram used, Jake countered. When it switched styles, he switched with it. His human brain, capable of complex problem-solving and rapid adaptation, kept pace with the computer's algorithms. More than kept pace, he started to predict its changes. Coach Hayes had taught him about adaptability. Humans didn't have the strongest bodies or the fastest reflexes in Earth's animal kingdom, but they could learn, they could adapt. They could take any fighting style and make it their own. That flexibility had let humans become the dominant species on a world that tried to kill them every day. The hologram threw a spinning kick. Jake caught its leg. The move surprised the system. It wasn't a standard counter taught in the academy. It was pure human improvisation. Jake pulled the hologram off balance and swept its standing leg. As it fell, he finished with a strike that would have ended a real fight. The hologram dissolved. The timer stopped at 13.4 seconds. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. The silence in the training hall was total. Jake straightened up and looked at Master. "Is that acceptable, sir?" The instructor didn't answer. He was staring at the timer display like it had personally offended him. He walked to the control panel and ran a diagnostic. The system reported no errors. He ran it again, still no errors. The holographic system had recorded everything correctly. Jake Human had completed the gauntlet of forms in 13.4 seconds. He had destroyed the class record by more than 30 seconds. He had beaten the Galactic Academy record by almost 20 seconds. He had done what should have been impossible. Stood frozen in place. His earlier mockery seemed like a joke now, a cruel joke played on himself. He had called humans weak, slow, soft. He had laughed at Jake. Now he couldn't speak. Suddenly made a sound of understanding. She had been reading her device throughout Jake's trial. Now she held it up, her large eyes wide with shock. "I know why," she said. Her voice was quiet, but everyone heard. "I know why he's so fast, so strong." Master turned to her. "Explain." His hands shook as she manipulated her device. A holographic display appeared above it, showing planetary data. Earth statistics filled the air. "Earth's gravity is 1.8 times galactic standard," she read. "Its atmospheric pressure is 1.4 times standard. Its oxygen content is significantly higher, but that's not the important part." She scrolled to another section. Her voice grew quieter. "Earth is classified as a Class 9. The students gasped. Even Master took a step back. Class 9 was the second highest danger rating in the galactic database. Only 14 known inhabited worlds carried that classification. Most species couldn't survive on such worlds for more than a few hours without environmental suits. "What does that mean?" asked Weekly. "It means Jake has been training with weights his entire life," explained. "Not artificial weights, his own planet. Every step he takes on Earth requires more effort than we use here. His bones grew dense to handle the gravity. His muscles developed to move that weight. His reflexes evolved to deal with predators we can't imagine." She looked at Jake with new respect. "When he came to Valor Prime, we didn't make things easier for him. We removed his handicap. In our standard gravity, with our standard atmospheric pressure, he's not just strong and fast, he's operating at levels we can't match." Master walked slowly toward Jake. His expression had changed completely. The contempt was gone. In its place was something that looked like awe. "Why didn't you tell us?" he asked. Jake shrugged. "Would you have believed me, or would you have thought I was making excuses?" The instructor had no answer. He knew Jake was right. If a human had walked in claiming to be from they would have laughed. 13 seconds, said quietly. "I've been teaching for 30 years. I've never seen anything like it." He looked at the other students. "Class dismissed. Except you, Jake. We need to talk about your training program." The students began to file out slowly. Many looked at Jake with new expressions. Fear, respect, curiosity, walked past, unable to meet Jake's eyes. Jake stood in the center of the training ring, the timer still displaying 13.4 seconds above his head. He had done what Coach Hayes told him to do. He had shown them what humans could do. But somehow he didn't feel victorious. He felt like he had just started something he couldn't stop. Master stood in his office with Jake, looking at the holographic replay of the trial. The instructor played it over and over, stopping at key moments. His forearms moved in agitation as he processed what he was seeing. "Here," he said, pausing the recording. "Your first strike. The force readings are off the scale. You hit that hologram with enough power to crack a armor plate." Jake shifted uncomfortably. "I was holding back, sir." His golden eyes snapped to him. "You were what?" "Holding back," Jake repeated. "Coach Hayes taught me to control my strength in light gravity environments. She said I might hurt someone if I wasn't careful." The instructor sat down heavily in his chair. He seemed to age 10 years in that moment. "You destroyed every record we have while holding back." "I didn't want to damage the equipment," Jake explained. "Those hologram projectors looked expensive." Laughed. It was not a happy sound. "The projectors, you were worried about the projectors." He rubbed his face with two of his hands. "Jake, do you understand what you've done? In 13 seconds, you've changed everything we thought we knew about combat potential." There was a knock on the door. A tall alien with silver skin and elegant robes entered. She moved with the grace of someone who had lived for centuries. Her eyes were deep blue and full of wisdom. "Master," she said, "I need to speak with your human student." Stood immediately. "Director, I was about to send you my report." "I watched the trial myself," said. "The entire Academy staff watched. Word is spreading through Valor Prime as we speak." She turned to Jake. "You've caused quite a stir, young human." "I'm sorry, ma'am," Jake said. "I was just trying to pass the trial." Smiled. "Don't apologize for excellence. Come walk with me." She led Jake out of the office and through the academy corridors. Other students stared as they passed. Some whispered. A few bowed slightly, a gesture of respect Jake didn't expect. "Do you know why the Galactic Union reached out to Earth?" asked. "To make allies," Jake guessed. "Partially," she said, "but there was another reason. The Union has existed for 3,000 years. In that time we've become comfortable, safe, we've forgotten what it means to struggle." She stopped at a window overlooking the station. "Then our scouts found Earth, with a thriving civilization, a species that conquered their planet despite impossible odds." "We almost didn't make it," Jake said quietly. "There were times in our history when we nearly went extinct." "But you didn't," replied. "You survived, you adapted, you became stronger. That's what the Union needs to remember. That's why you're here." Back in the student quarters, Jake's room assignment had changed. He now had a private room instead of a shared one. Someone had already moved his belongings. When he entered, he found sitting on the edge of his bed. They jumped up when Jake came in. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't be here, I just wanted to." He trailed off, his yellow eyes looking anywhere but at Jake. "It's okay," Jake said, setting his bag down. "What did you want?" Took a breath. "I wanted to apologize for what I said, for how I treated you. I was cruel and stupid." Jake sat down in the desk chair. "You didn't know." "That's no excuse," said firmly. "I judged you without knowing anything about you or your world. I assumed Earth was weak because I'd never heard of it. I'm sorry." Jake studied he could sense the genuine regret. Apology accepted, but can I ask you something? Why were you so hostile? Sat back down on the bed, his shoulders slumping. Because I was afraid. The academy is everything to me. I've trained my whole life to be here, to be the best. When you walked in, something about you scared me. I couldn't explain it, so I attacked first. I'm not here to take anything from you, Jake said. I know that now, replied. After watching you fight, I understand. You weren't trying to show off. You were just being yourself. That's what makes it so incredible. This is normal for you. There was another knock on the door. Jake opened it to find the student holding a data pad. May I come in? She asked. When she nodded. Good, I wanted to talk to both of you. She entered and immediately began pulling up files on her pad. I've spent the last 2 hours researching Earth. Jake, your planet is fascinating and terrifying in equal measure. What did you find? Jake asked. Everything, said. Her large eyes glowed with excitement. Your gravity, your atmosphere, your weather patterns. But the most interesting part is your biology. Humans are endurance hunters. Did you know that? Coach Hayes mentioned it, Jake said. You can run for hours without stopping, continued. Most galactic species can sprint, but you can maintain pace longer than almost any other known being. Your cooling system, your sweat glands, they're incredibly efficient. In a long chase, you would outlast nearly anything. Looked confused, but the trial wasn't about endurance, it was about speed and power. That's what makes it interesting, said. Jake has endurance and speed and power. Earth didn't just make humans tough, it made them well-rounded. There's no weakness to exploit. She pulled up another file. Look at this. Human bone density is 2.3 times the galactic average. Muscle fiber strength is 1.9 times average. Reaction time is faster. Pain tolerance is higher. In your eyes. She looked at Jake. Your vision is remarkable. True depth perception. Color range beyond most species. You can track multiple targets simultaneously. All humans can do that, Jake said. Exactly, replied. It's not just you. Every human has these advantages. Earth created an entire species of natural warriors. Stood and walked to the window. The other students are going to react badly to this. Some of them have trained their entire lives. They've sacrificed everything to be the best. And now a human shows up and breaks every record on his first day. I didn't mean to embarrass anyone, Jake said. You didn't embarrass us, turned back to him. You humbled us, there's a difference. Embarrassment makes you angry. Humility makes you want to learn. He smiled slightly. I want to learn, will you teach me? Jake blinked in surprise. Teach you what? How you train, said. How you move, how you think during combat. I've been doing this for 15 years and I couldn't follow half your movements. You see things I don't see. You react to threats before they fully develop. I want to understand how. Nodded eagerly. I want to study your techniques too, from an analytical perspective. I think we can learn a lot from human combat methods. Before Jake could respond, there was a loud knock on the door. When he opened it, he found the large student from the trial, the one who had called humans weak. He looked uncomfortable. He said simply, I was wrong about you, about humans, I'm sorry. It's okay, Jake said. He seemed to be saying that a lot today. It's not okay, replied. I insulted you in your world. Master taught us better than that. We're supposed to respect all warriors, regardless of where they come from. He paused. Can I ask you something? Sure. How much do you weigh on your home world? Jake thought for a moment. About 220 pounds. Why? His rocky face twisted in confusion. But here you only weigh about 120 pounds. You've been fighting your entire life carrying an extra 100 pounds. I guess so, Jake said. I never really thought about it that way. By the stars, whispered. No wonder you're so fast here. You're used to moving with twice the weight. More students began arriving. Some came to apologize. Others came to ask questions. A few just wanted to see the human who had broken every record. Jake's small room became crowded. Master arrived an hour later and dispersed the crowd, but before he sent them away, he made an announcement. Tomorrow, Jake will demonstrate human training techniques. Any student who wishes to learn may attend, but I warn you now, if human training is anything like human combat performance, it will be the hardest workout of your lives. The students accepted the challenge eagerly. As they left, hung back. Thank you, he said to Jake, for being gracious. Many warriors would have gloated after what you did today. Jake shrugged. Coach Hayes taught me something important. She said that true strength isn't about proving you're better than others. It's about lifting others up with you. Smiled. Your Coach Hayes sounds very wise. She is, Jake agreed. She's the one who really deserves credit for today. Everything I did came from her training. That night, Jake lay in his bed unable to sleep. He kept thinking about the trial, about the looks on the other students' faces, about how everything had changed in 13 seconds. He thought about Earth, about his home that everyone now knew was a would they fear humans now? Would they see them as dangerous? Director's words came back to him. You've changed everything we thought we knew. Jake hoped he had changed things for the better. He hoped that 13 seconds would build bridges instead of walls. He hoped the galaxy would see humans not as threats but as partners. Outside his window, Valor Prime Station rotated slowly against the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth hung in space, his home, the planet that made him who he was. In 13 seconds, he had shown the galaxy what humans could do. Now he had to show them who humans were. That was going to take a lot longer than 13 seconds. The training hall filled with students well before the scheduled session. Nearly 100 beings from different species crowded into the space. They came to see what human training looked like. Some were curious, others were skeptical. A few still thought Jake's performance had been luck. Master stood beside Jake at the front of the hall. The instructor's expression was neutral, but Jake could sense his anticipation. Wanted to see how the students would react to Earth training methods. Good morning, Jake said, his voice carried across the hall. Thank you for coming. Before we start, I need to ask you some questions. He paused. How many of you run as part of your training? Most hands went up. How far do you run? Jake asked. 2 miles, someone called out. Standard distance. 3 times per week, another added. Jake nodded. On Earth, we run 5 to 10 miles every day, not 3 times a week every day. The students murmured that seemed excessive to them. How many of you use resistance training? Jake continued. Again, most hands rose. What's the standard weight you lift? Adjusted to our body weight, answered. Usually about 50% for upper body exercises. On Earth, we lift our full body weight or more, Jake said. Sometimes twice our body weight. Remember, our body weight on Earth is almost double what it is here. The murmuring grew louder. The students were beginning to understand the gap between their training and human training. I'm not saying this to brag, Jake said quickly. I'm saying it so you understand. What's normal for me might be extreme for you. We'll start slowly today. I don't want anyone getting hurt. The large stepped forward. Show us a basic exercise, something simple. Jake thought for a moment. Okay, push-ups. Everyone knows push-ups, right? Nods around the room. Push-ups were universal across most species. I'll do 50, Jake said. Standard Earth pace, just watch. He dropped to the floor and began. His form was perfect, his speed was steady. He didn't slow down or struggle. At 50, he stood up, barely breathing hard. That looked easy, someone said. It is easy, Jake replied, for me, but remember, I've been doing these in almost double gravity since I was a child. Here, they're much lighter. He looked around the room. Who wants to try? Several students volunteered. Jake had them get into position. Okay, give me 25, half what I did, take your time. The students began. Within 10 repetitions, some were struggling. By 15, several had stopped. Only and a few others completed all 25. They stood up, breathing heavily. I don't understand, a student gasped. Push-ups are basic. Why are they so hard? Because you just did them at the pace I use on Earth, Jake explained gently. That's my normal speed. For you, it's like sprinting while doing strength training. Raised her hand. Can you show us a harder exercise, something that would challenge you? Jake considered. Okay, but this might look strange to you. He dropped back to the floor. This time he lowered himself until his chest nearly touched the ground, then exploded upward with enough force to lift his hands off the floor. He clapped once before catching himself and going into the next repetition. He did this 20 times. The students stared in silence. That level of explosive power seemed impossible. On Earth, we call those clapping push-ups, Jake said. They build fast-twitch muscle fibers, the kind you need for quick reactions. Can you teach us? Asked. His earlier mockery was completely gone. Now there was only respect in his voice. For the next 2 hours, Jake walked the students through basic human exercises. He modified them, made them easier, adjusted them for different alien physiologies. Some species couldn't do certain movements. Others excelled at specific exercises their bodies were built for. Proved to be naturally fast, his physiology giving him quick reflexes. Jake showed him how to channel that speed into striking power, had incredible strength but lacked endurance. Jake taught him breathing techniques to extend his stamina. Didn't participate in the physical training, but she recorded everything on her data pad. She analyzed movement patterns, energy expenditure, technique variations. Her scientific mind was cataloging it all. Master watched from the side. He had trained warriors for 3 decades, but today he was learning new methods. Human methods, methods forged on a world that pushed its inhabitants to their limits every day. When they took a break, many students collapsed on the floor. They were exhausted. Jake had only taken them through a third of his normal morning routine, modified to be easier, and they were drained. "How do you do this every day?" a student asked between breaths. "You get used to it," Jake said. "Your body adapts. That's what humans are good at, adapting." "More than that," said, looking up from her pad. "Humans are persistent. You don't just adapt once. You keep adapting, keep pushing, keep improving. It's built into your psychology." Jake shrugged. Coach Hayes always said that giving up wasn't an option. You either keep going or you fail, so you keep going. After the break, Jake demonstrated combat techniques. He showed them how to move in low-gravity environments, how to use momentum efficiently, how to read an opponent's body language. The students absorbed everything eagerly. Director entered the hall near the end of the session. She watched Jake working with a group of students, correcting their stances, encouraging them when they struggled. She smiled. When the session ended, the director approached Jake. "Walk with me again." They left the hall and moved through the station corridors. This time, students they passed bowed to Jake. Word of his training session had spread. He had proven he wasn't just naturally talented. He was skilled, knowledgeable, and willing to share what he knew. "You handled that well," said. "You could have shown off, made them feel inferior. Instead, you taught them." "That's what Coach Hayes would have done," Jake replied. They reached a private meeting room. Inside, Jake's father was waiting, along with several high-ranking officers from different species. Peter stood when his son entered. "Jake," the director said formally, "I need to discuss something important with you. The Galactic Martial Championship takes place in 6 months. It happens once every 4 years. The finest young warriors from across the Union compete." Jake nodded. "I've heard of it." "I want to enter you in the championship," said. "You would be the first human to compete." The room went silent. Jake looked at his father, who gave him a slight nod. The decision was Jake's to make. "May I ask why?" Jake said carefully. "I'm sure there are better warriors." "Better is subjective," an alien officer said. He was like Master. "But you have something unique. You represent potential, human potential." "Humanity is new to the Union," another officer added. "Many species are uncertain about your kind. Some fear you, others dismiss you. Your performance at the championship could change perceptions." Leaned forward. "I won't lie to you, Jake. This is political as much as athletic. How you perform, how you conduct yourself, it will affect how the galaxy sees Earth. That's a heavy burden for a 17-year-old. Jake thought about the last few days, about the mockery he had faced, about how that mockery had turned to respect, about students who now wanted to learn from him instead of laughing at him. "If I compete," he said slowly, "I want to do it right. I want to honor Earth and the Academy, but I also want to honor the other competitors. I don't want this to be about humans versus everyone else." "What do you want it to be about?" his father asked. Jake met his father's eyes. "About what we can all become when we push ourselves, about learning from each other, about showing that different doesn't mean inferior." Director smiled widely. "That is exactly the right answer. Will you compete?" Jake took a deep breath. He thought of Coach Hayes back on Earth. She had trained him for moments like this. She had taught him that strength without wisdom was just violence, that true warriors fought to protect, not to dominate. "Yes," he said, "I'll compete." The officers nodded in approval. His father gripped his shoulder with pride, began discussing training schedules and preparation requirements. As they talked, Jake realized something. His 13 seconds in the trial had opened a door. Now he had to walk through it. The championship would be his chance to show the galaxy what humans truly were. Not just strong, not just fast, but honorable, respectful, willing to lift others up while striving for excellence. That night, Jake returned to his room to find a message waiting. It was from Coach Hayes on Earth. Someone had sent her recordings of his trial and training session. Her message was short: "Proud of you, kid. Remember, the real fight isn't against other warriors. It's against fear and ignorance. You're winning that fight. Keep going." Jake read it 3 times, then he began preparing for tomorrow's training. He had 5 months to get ready for the championship. 5 months to prove that 13 seconds wasn't a fluke, 5 months to show the galaxy what humanity could become. Outside his window the stars shone bright, somewhere among them was Earth, his home, that had made him strong. But strength wasn't enough, he needed wisdom, he needed patience, he needed to be worthy of representing his world. Tomorrow, Master would begin training him specifically for the championship, had volunteered to be his sparring partner, would analyze his opponents, would help him build strength. He wasn't alone in this, that was another human trait, they worked better together. Jake smiled and turned from the window. Tomorrow would be hard, every day until the championship would be hard. But hard was just another word for normal when you came from Earth. 5 months passed quickly on Valor Prime. Jake's life became a cycle of training, studying, and preparing for the championship. Every morning began before station dawn. Every evening ended long after most students had gone to sleep. Master pushed him harder than he had ever pushed any student. But Jake wasn't alone, trained beside him every day. They had become more than a sparring partner, he was a friend. Together they developed techniques that blended human and styles. Jake's power combined with speed created combinations neither could achieve alone. Spent hours analyzing footage of previous championships. She created detailed profiles of likely opponents, their strengths, their weaknesses, their preferred techniques. She turned fighting into a science, and Jake studied her notes like they were sacred texts. Helped Jake build even more strength. They introduced him to resistance training methods from his world. Jake adapted them for human physiology. He grew stronger, but more importantly, he learned to control that strength better. Other students joined the training sessions too. What started as Jake teaching became mutual exchange. He learned techniques from a dozen different species. They learned human methods in return. The academy became a place of cooperation instead of competition. Master watched it all with satisfaction. His students were becoming better warriors, but more than that, they were becoming better beings. They learned that strength came in many forms, that every species had something valuable to offer. 1 month before the championship, Jake's father visited him during training. Peter had been away on diplomatic missions for weeks. When he saw his son moving with a confidence and skill that went beyond what he remembered, he smiled with pride. "You've grown," Peter said later as they ate together in the station cafeteria. "Master doesn't let me rest," Jake replied, but he was grinning. "I'm not talking about your fighting," his father said, "though that's impressive too. I mean you've grown as a person, the way you interact with the other students, the way you teach. Your mother would be proud." Jake's smile faded slightly. His mother had died when he was 14. She never got to see him leave Earth, never saw him come to the stars. "I wish she could be here," Jake said quietly. "She is," Peter replied. "Everything good in you came from her, your patience, your kindness, your refusal to use strength to bully others, that's all her." They sat in silence for a moment, remembering the woman who had shaped them both. "Are you nervous about the championship?" Peter asked. Terrified, Jake admitted, not of losing, of letting people down. "Earth is counting on me to represent them well." "Earth isn't counting on you to win," his father said. "Earth is counting on you to be yourself, that's all anyone can ask." 2 weeks before the championship, Director called Jake to her office. When he arrived, he found her watching news broadcasts from across the galaxy. "You've become famous," she said, gesturing to the screens. "The human who broke the records, the who trains with aliens, the bridge between Earth and the Union." Jake saw himself on the screens, clips from his trial, footage from training sessions, interviews with students talking about what they had learned from him. It was strange seeing himself through others' eyes. "Some species are excited about your participation in the championship," continued. "They see you as proof that newcomers can contribute to the Union, but others are worried." "Worried about what?" "That you'll win," she said simply. "That a human from a will defeat warriors who have trained their entire lives. They fear what it means if Earth's soft, gravity training produces superior fighters." "I haven't won anything yet," Jake pointed out. "But you might," replied, "and if you do, you need to be prepared for the reaction. Some will celebrate, others will resent you, a few might even hate you." Jake absorbed this. "What should I do?" "What you've been doing," she said. "Be honest, be respectful, fight with honor, win or lose, represent humanity with dignity." She paused. "And remember, Jake, you're 17. You shouldn't have to carry the weight of an entire world on your shoulders, but you do. I'm sorry for that." "Coach Hayes prepared me," Jake said. "She told me that representing Earth would be the hardest fight of my life, not because of the physical challenge, because of the responsibility." The week before the championship, Master reduced Jake's physical training. Your body needs rest, he said. Now we work on your mind. They spent hours discussing strategy, mental preparation, and focus techniques, shared wisdom from 3 decades of teaching warriors. The championship isn't just about skill, he explained. It's about composure. Many fighters lose before they even enter the ring because they let fear control them. How do I avoid that? Jake asked. Remember why you fight, said, not for glory, not to prove superiority. You fight to honor your training, your teachers, and your world. Keep that in mind and fear loses its power. The night before they departed for the championship venue, the academy held a gathering for Jake. Students from every species came to show support. They had made banners, some had gifts, all had words of encouragement. Spoke for the group. When you first arrived, I mocked you. I called humans weak. I was wrong, and I'm ashamed of that, but you didn't hold it against me. You taught all of us. Whatever happens at the championship, you've already won something more important. You've won our respect and friendship. The students cheered. Jake felt emotion rising in his throat. 5 months ago, he had walked into the academy alone. Now he was surrounded by friends from across the galaxy. Thank you, he managed to say. All of you, you've taught me as much as I've taught you. Whatever happens tomorrow, I'm grateful for the time we've had together. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the championship, about the fighters he would face, about the galaxy watching, about Earth depending on him. He got up and went to the training hall. To his surprise, he found already there, practicing forms in the darkness. Couldn't sleep either, Jake asked. Turned and smiled. I'm nervous for you. Is that strange? It's kind of nice, actually, Jake said. He joined in the center of the hall. Want to run through some combinations, might help us both relax. They trained together in the quiet station night. No pressure, no expectations, just two friends sharing techniques and conversation. When they finally returned to their rooms, both felt calmer. The next morning, they boarded the transport to the championship venue. It was held on a neutral world called Unity, built specifically for galactic events. The planet had hosted the championship for centuries. As the transport approached Unity, Jake looked out at the massive stadium complex. It could hold 500,000 spectators. Beings from every corner of the galaxy would be watching. Billions more would view it on broadcasts. His father sat beside him. How are you feeling? Ready, Jake said, and surprisingly he was. The nervousness was still there, but it was manageable. He had trained for this, prepared for this. He was as ready as he could be. The transport landed. As Jake disembarked, he saw other competitors arriving. They came from species he recognized and some he didn't. All of them were champions from their own worlds. All of them had trained their entire lives for this moment. A tall warrior with crystalline skin noticed Jake. Recognition flashed in his multifaceted eyes. You're the human, the one who broke the academy records. Yes, Jake said, I'm Jake. The crystalline warrior studied him for a long moment. I hold the record for the fastest championship victory, 2 minutes 40 seconds. He paused. I look forward to facing you if we both advance far enough. I look forward to it too, Jake replied. Nodded and walked away. Other competitors watched the exchange. Some looked curious, others looked worried, a few looked openly hostile. Master put a hand on Jake's shoulder. The real tournament has begun, not the fighting, the psychological warfare. They're all trying to figure you out, trying to decide if the rumors are true. What should I do? Be yourself, said. That's what scares them most. The opening ceremony was that evening. Jake stood with the other competitors as the stadium filled with spectators. The noise was overwhelming, 500,000 voices creating a sound like thunder. Director gave the opening address. She spoke of tradition, of honor, of the bonds that united the galaxy through friendly competition. Then she introduced the competitors one by one. When she called Jake's name, the stadium went silent for a moment. Then, surprisingly, a huge cheer erupted, not from everyone, but from enough beings that Jake felt the sound wash over him like a wave. He looked up at the stands, saw students from the academy waving Earth flags they had made, saw his father standing and clapping, saw beings from dozens of species showing support. But he also saw others sitting silent, others shaking their heads, others looking at him with suspicion or fear. That night, alone in his room at the competitor complex, Jake recorded a message to send to Earth, to Coach Hayes. Hi Coach, the championship starts tomorrow. I'm nervous but ready. I've been thinking about something you told me once. You said that the strongest warriors are those who fight not to dominate but to inspire. I'm going to try to do that. Whatever happens, I want Earth to be proud, not because I won, but because I did it the right way, with honor, with respect, like you taught me. Thank you for everything. I'll make you proud. He sent the message and prepared for sleep. Tomorrow, the fighting would begin. Tomorrow, he would show the galaxy what he had learned in those 13 seconds 5 months ago. That humans were strong, yes, but more importantly, they were honorable. They were kind. They were willing to learn from others while sharing what they knew. Jake closed his eyes. Somewhere in the darkness, Earth rotated on its axis. His home, the planet that had forged him in gravity and pressure and endless challenge. But Earth had given him more than strength. It had given him humanity, and that, more than any physical advantage, was what he would bring to the championship. The real fight wasn't against other warriors. It was against prejudice and fear and the unknown. It was showing the galaxy that different didn't mean lesser, that new didn't mean inferior, that humanity deserved to stand alongside the oldest civilizations as equals. In 13 seconds, he had broken every record, but records were just numbers. What mattered now was what came next, how he used his strength, how he represented his world, how he built bridges instead of walls. Tomorrow would be the hardest test of his life, not because of the fighting, but because the whole galaxy would be watching, judging, deciding what humans were worth. Jake took a deep breath. Let them watch, let them judge. He would show them the truth, that Earth's children were ready for the stars, that they belonged in this galactic community, that 13 seconds was just the beginning of something much greater. He fell asleep with Coach Hayes' words echoing in his mind. Be yourself, fight with honor, make us proud, the rest will take care of itself. And somewhere across the galaxy, on a small blue world classified as a Class 9, a former Marine named Lisa Hayes received his message. She played it twice. Then she smiled and whispered to the empty room. That's my student, that's humanity, we're going to be just fine.